familiar with, if you have like a headache, you might take some Advil or Tylenol. And then there's instructions on the bottle to take 1 or 2 caplets, and you have to before you take the next 2, you're supposed to wait 6 hours. Now what you might not know is that in those 6 hours, well, you know a part of this, your body is using that drug to help fight your headache or whatever you have. But in those 6 hours, your body won't use up all of the drug. It will only use up a percentage of it. So the next time you take your next set of medication 6 hours later, you will actually, at that moment, have more drug in your body than you did the first time you took your pills. And then again, your body gets rid of a certain percentage. So in this example, what's happening is that a tablet contains 500 milligrams of an antibiotic. And about 15% of the antibiotic remains in the body when the next tablet is taken. Determine the mass of the antibiotic in the body after each number of tablets. So we're going to start by looking at a table. Okay? In this table, number of tablets, and I'll put milligrams here. When you take your first tablet, this is easy. You have 500 milligrams in your body. When you take your second tablet, you are adding 500 to whatever was left in your body. Does that make sense? And if 15% remains, we would have to take 15% of 500 would be left. Then for tablet number 3, as soon as you take tablet number 3, you add 500. But then you would have 15% of what you had left, which was whatever is here. Now I'm going to write it like this to begin with. 15%, and I'm going to put a big set of square brackets, and I'm going to rewrite this. I mean, technically, I could have used my calculator and figured this out, okay? But I'm going to leave it like this, and there's a reason for that, because now when I distribute this 0.15, this becomes equal to 500 plus 0.15 times 500 plus, I'm going to write it this way, 0.15 squared, because the 0.15 hits another 0.15, that'll be a 0.15 squared. And when we write it this way, we notice that this is a geometric series. It's a geometric series where term 1 is 500, R is 0.15, because term 1 is 500, then term 2 was 0.15 times 500, then term 3 was 0.15 squared times 500. So if we wanted to go all the way down to 10, we would have to find the sum of the first 10 tablets, which will be term 1. Again, maybe I will first write out my formula for my formula sheet. And then I want to find S10. So term 1 was 500. 1 minus R was 0.15 to the 10 over 1 minus 0.15. I go to my calculator, I can type this in all at once, 500 bracket 1 minus 0.15 to the exponent of 10. Close that bracket, over 1 minus 0.15. Hit enter. $588.24. Interesting that it wasn't that big, right? Okay. So what this drug has is you get, every time you take a new pill, you still have some from before, but most of it is gone. Okay? And every time you take the next pill, it increases a tiny little bit, but not as much as it increased the time before. What generally happens with the drugs that you take when they tell you 6 hours is generally they have it in their system that usually gets rid of about half of the drug. So you take 500 milligrams, 6 hours later, half of it would be gone. You'd be down to 250. Then you'd add 500, you'd be up to 750. Then half of it would be gone. Eventually, it's going to reach a maximum where you're going to be very close when you take the next pill to doubling what you had. You're going to have 500 in your body, you take the next pill, you get to 1,000. Then half goes away, you're back to 500. Can you see that you'll never go higher than that? Because you have 500, add 500, get to 1,000, cut in half, back to 500. Add 500, get to 1,000, cut in half, back to 500. So if you had like this 7-day headache, where you were taking time, you should really go see a doctor. Okay, if it's lasted for 7 days, really, you should go see a doctor. But if you're still like, I'm just going to keep taking Tylenol every 6 hours, follow the instructions, you're eventually going to hit that maximum where you max out. And you'll get up to 1,000 milligrams in your body, and they'll cut it in half back to 500. And you take another pill back to 1,000, cut it in half back to 500. Now, you might ask, well, why didn't they just say on the instructions of the bottle to start off with 1,000, and then after that, cut back to 500, so I get my maximum right away? Well, usually, like with drugs, putting a drug in your body isn't always a good thing. And if you put too much, right, that's called an overdose. It causes a shock to your body. Your body can handle 1,000 milligrams of a drug if it's been gradually increased to that. But if you would give your body too much at the beginning, it could cause a little bit of shock. So that's another reason the medical system knows what's happening with the mathematics behind the drug, and they're giving you instructions accordingly. Just kind of neat to know that there's mathematics behind that as well. Okay, so questions for this one? Number